How did we edit audio before computers? Today we can delete a word in an instant, but for decades, cutting audio meant something literal. You took the recording on magnetic tape, found the exact bit you wanted to remove, and cut the tape itself. Not just a waveform on a screen, with a razor blade and no undo. And in this video, that's exactly what I'm going to try for the very first time. I recorded a voiceover directly onto tape, complete with pauses, hesitation, the ahs and Okay. The goal is simple. Remove the mistakes without ruining the recording. Before we get into cutting, it helps to understand why this was done at all. You could use two machines, play from one, record onto the other, but for professional work, that quickly falls apart. Every copy adds noise and reduces quality. Timing becomes difficult, and tape machines don't start and stop instantly. Their motors need time to spin up and slow down, making precise edits nearly impossible. That precision starts with the machine itself. A 3-head configuration with separate erase, record and playback heads allows you to monitor exactly what's being recorded in real time. But that's common on most reel-to-reel machines. Studio decks, such as the Lyrec PTR-1, add controls not commonly found on consumer devices. To help with editing, pressing the edit button releases the tape tension so you can freely pull the tape away. Combining edit and fast forward or rewind enables the jog wheel to scrub through the recording. The speed depends on how far you turn the dial. And of course you could also turn the reels by hand. And not just forward. When I turn the take-up reel backwards, the supply reel takes over. The machine maintains tape tension constantly, no matter which reel you turn, or in which direction. There's nothing really stopping you from scratching the tape either. And if you feel like taking a tape dump, just press edit and play. It disengages the take-up reel and lets the tape spill freely so you can easily remove a longer section. Go to 0 or last will rewind to wherever the counter was set to 0, or the last stop position. The smoothness and precision of how the transport handles tape is remarkable. Danish company Lyrec marketed the PTR-1 Frida as a portable studio recorder. It weighs just 12 kilograms, 26.4 pounds, and at only 9 centimeters or 3.5 inches, it's roughly half the height of an iPhone Pro Max. It was probably the last professional reel-to-reel machine developed in the 20th century. While names like Studer and Nagra tend to dominate the conversation, the Lyrec more than holds its own where it matters most. It stands among the finest sounding machines ever built and saw extensive use at institutions like the BBC, where this very machine likely captured history. And now that you've met the machine, let's look at the tools. Splicing tape, a splicing block, a wax pencil, a razor blade, and a bit of courage. You could cut magnetic tape with scissors and join it with Scotch tape, but scissor cuts are inconsistent and the adhesive risks leaving residue on the tape path. Splicing tape is designed specifically for this, slightly narrower than the tape itself and just strong enough to hold. For perfect cuts, a razor blade is used. The splicing block holds the tape in place and guides the cut. Studio machines were usually equipped with both a splicing block and a cutter. This Lyrec only features the splicing block, but there's space to install a cutter right next to the playback head. Back in the day, you could get home splicing kits with guillotine splicers like this cutie here. The editing process itself is simple, at least in theory. You listen for the exact moment a sound begins or ends, mark the tape, lift it out, place it in the block and cut at an angle. There are two secrets to tape editing. First, these grooves aren't random. A diagonal cut softens the transition, essentially creating a brief physical crossfade. You can choose between a straight cut or a slanted one, depending on how abrupt or smooth you want the transition to be. Then you align the ends and join them with splicing tape. The other secret is speed. Measured in inches or centimeters per second, it's simply the rate at which tape passes the heads. So each second of audio occupies a physical length of tape. At 7.5 IPS, that would be of course 7.5 inches of tape. And at 15, that same second of audio is spread across double the length, making words or even syllables easier to isolate. Higher speeds also improve dynamic range and reduce tape hiss. The trade-off is faster speeds use more tape, and tape costs money. 1 minute of audio, a razor blade, 0 undos. Tapenostalgism is an interactive visual tool that shows you exactly how analog tape recording works. Listening to the recording, that pause between the first two sentences is a bit too long, so let's remove it. To do that, I need to find exactly where the first sentence ends. And this is where the pencil comes in. I'm marking the tape just after the word works, at the center of the playback head, where the sound comes from. Locating the word something, the start of the next sentence. There it is, marking that as well. Now we take the tape and place it into the cutting block. I'm lining up the first mark with a 45-degree grooves for a smooth transition, making sure the tape sits properly. Time for the first cut. I'm fairly certain experienced editors will spot a few things I'm doing wrong here. Feel free to point them out. But for now, let's cut the second mark. This is a second of silence. I'm aligning the two ends, slightly overlapping them. That way the splicing tape won't come into contact with the tape path. I've pre-cut a few pieces of splicing tape like I've seen others do. And I'm applying one with a razor blade. Maybe it's easier this way. Pressing it down should remove any air bubbles. This isn't too difficult, but it does require care. An easy mistake to make here is taping the wrong side. With back-coated tape, it's easy to tell. The back is matte black. So let's rewind and listen. Tapenostalgism is an interactive visual tool that shows you exactly how analog tape recording works. Something that's surprisingly hard. That sounds surprisingly fine. Quarter-inch tape. Next, there's an after explained well. Here. Mark. Cut. Repeat. And splice. Let's hear it. That's surprisingly hard to find explained well. Quarter-inch tape can be recorded in 4 different configurations. Okay. There's a slightly longer section to remove here. Mark up to just before full track mono. And I'll do a short tape dump to get to the second point. Full track mono. Different configurations. Full track mono. There were a few more mistakes to correct, and all in all, editing a minute of audio took me about an hour and a half. In fairness, I was also moving the camera around a lot. I have to say I quite enjoyed this. Once I got into it, it felt natural. It makes you listen more carefully and think ahead. So, was this a better way to edit audio? Not really, but the physicality of every cut demanded commitment. I felt genuine joy when I heard my first cut, and that's definitely not something I feel when I edit on a computer. This considerate cutting is something worth remembering when editing digitally as well. The voiceover I just edited is about a project I'm building. It's an interactive visualization of how tracks and heads are laid out for recording and playback on quarter-inch tape. The app animates the tape in motion so you can see the track layout, the guard bands, and how the heads interact with the tape at different speeds, including how a new recording replaces the previous one. To play with the machine, head over to Tapenostalgism.com and press a few buttons. And speaking of tape, this is brand new, made in France by RTM. It's based on classic formulations from AGFA and BASF. I want to thank them for sending it over to support my testing. There was no payment or creative input for this video. I'm a long-time user of their tapes because I'd rather not risk shedding or mold on these gems. It's professional tape you can genuinely use in modern productions, not just something to collect. And that's the thing, these formats aren't just relics, they're tools, still capable of doing exactly what they were designed to do, adding a bit of that analog magic where digital just doesn't quite cut it. For anyone interested, the tape and tools are linked below. Now, I'm curious to hear from the veterans. What's the one tape editing tip you think I should know? And for everyone else, what was the most surprising part of seeing audio edited with a razor blade? Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be the first to see what's next. Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, and the Tapenostalgism store with original, no AI designs are all linked below. Thanks for tagging along Nostalgia Lane.